All right, welcome back to AMF, Always Moving Forward. Today, you can see I have my friend, my homie, Jamie Stylz on the show.
Hey, y'all.
How's it going?
Great. It's good.
I'm glad you made it out. It's raining, it's cold.
Yes, we don't know what's happening in Texas right now.
Yeah, it's supposed to have been a winter storm earlier today. So, in Texas,
yes.
Of all places. And this would be like the second one in a week.
Yep.
In a week.
Two freezes.
Yeah, remember, we're in Texas. So, yeah,
Did you say Texas?
Yeah, Texas, yeah. And I already had two storms. So, anyways, I wanted to bring Jamie on. Jamie is she's a lot of things. She's a photographer, a rapper, a model, a promoter, a DJ.
Hold on, let me switch my hats while you say this. Keep going.
So, yeah, Jamie, yeah, she's got a lot going on. So I wanted to have her come on the show and have you guys get to know her get to know her personally and some of the things that she's working on. Jamie and I was just talking. We go back quite a bit. I won't say how many years because we're both still young.
But I had to pull off my shoes and count with my toes.
Right.
I ran out of fingers.
And she had to borrow my fingers too. So, so anyways, yeah. So, how's everything going?
Everything's going good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just staying busy and keeping it moving forward.
Right.
It goes right in line with that. But yeah, I don't know. Every day is a new day to learn something new, and with photography and the whole creative world that I'm in, I'm just amazed by the simple things sometimes.
Right.
So
kind of on our show, I mean, we go and we talk about like the younger years, and then we kind of go into when you found your purpose and your passion, and some of the things you might have ran into. And things you may have had to overcome, and then some of we'll go into what your passions are and what you're into. So tell me a little bit about Jamie growing up. What was that like? What was the younger years like?
Oh wow! So Jamie growing up, I'm the only child in my younger years, and then I had a stepbrother. But for the most part, stepbrothers come on the weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so I was an only child.
Well, yeah.
So I was content and playing alone, and I always found ways to entertain myself.
Right.
So I think that's where like the creativity and stuff came from, because it was like nobody else around to play with.
Did you grow up in Texas, or did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in Texas. So kind of around Dallas, and then for a good while was in Mansfield for part of my elementary, going into part of high school.
Okay.
And at that time there was nothing out there.
Okay.
So when people were like, "Oh, did you skip school growing up?" No, there was nothing to do.
Right.
So I didn't know. I was very much wanted to stay in school during that time because I had nowhere to go.
Right. Was that time you got to see your friends, or?
Yeah. So it was just pointless, because by the time you got anywhere, it was like school was over and you just got there because you had to walk or whatever. I mean, we were just kids.
Right. So was that like in high school, or is it younger?
That was probably like middle school.
Middle school.
Yeah, I just remember attempting to skip, and there was nowhere to go, so we just hid in the bathroom for a period. I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah, when you're in a place like that, it's all a film, and you're trying to skip. They're just like, oh, there she is, right there.
Yeah, they could see me walking out. Like it was out in the middle of nowhere, y'all. Mansfield, Texas. Look it up.
Right.
So, and then also I never like to get behind, so I'm very thorough in what I do, and I like start to finish, and I get laser focused on what I'm doing.
Right.
So that started in school.
Okay.
I was just like that.
Some of the passions that you have now, did any of that start during that time, or?
Yes. So it really started out with drawing, which I don't do very often now. But I just would draw and kind of like how I could create something, or look at a picture and try and copy that picture basically by hand and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's how it kind of started. And then
Right.
I remember like an assignment about writing. So I would make up these elaborate
Stories.
stories.
Right.
And, and I remember like my teacher was like, this is what she wrote. And it was fiction. So I'm like, no, it's supposed to be fiction. Like,
Right.
so my mom was like, where did you come up with this?
Right.
It was some ghost story that I wrote.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Okay.
And anyways, my teacher brought it to my mom's attention, but it was,
Was she concerned about it?
I think it was just kind of like, did she come up with this?
Oh,
like,
okay.
like that's how out there that,
Right.
my imagination went.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, but it was nothing wrong with it. I didn't get in trouble or anything.
Right.
So, but yeah, it started very young because, again, I didn't have siblings around to play with. So I would
Right.
just go in the backyard and, like, make my own little fortress of,
Right.
and then I remember making my own little, what's the word? Your silverware and stuff like that out of, like,
Right.
tree bark and
Oh, wow.
leaves. And I'm like, this is a fork.
Just being creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would pretend I made my own little plate. Like I would weave the grass and whatever. And I'd be like, okay, this is my plate.
Right.
It was hilarious. I mean, when I think about it, like,
Wow.
I was just out there making my own little place to live, I think.
Wow. So, from there, did you move to Dallas, and where'd you end up going to high school?
So high school, this is a tricky question because we moved around a lot, unfortunately. Broken, marriage and stuff like that. So, we just had to go. So I partially went to high school in, started off in Mansfield because that's where I was.
Right.
Then we moved away to Arkansas, out of all places.
Oh, wow.
And that didn't last long. We came right back to Texas immediately. And then I was in Dallas and hopped around a couple Dallas, Garland. So I went to Bryan Adams.
Okay.
I went to Garland High School. And then from Garland, then in basically my junior year of high school, we went out to Terrell, and that's where my family's been ever since.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, from that point, so when you're in high school, you have so many passions right now that you do.
Yeah.
What was like the first creative endeavor, I guess, that you started focusing on?
I would say the writing of music, rapping, and poetry.
Okay.
So I remember in early high school, writing a whole song with my friends. Like, we had a whole song. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually how I met her. Is she was a rapper
Yeah.
at the time. So we have a mutual friend. His name's Drew Mitchell. He was a
Shout out to DJ Drew Mitchell.
So he was a DJ for a radio station called Power FM.
Yep.
And he and I used to go to Fort Worth, and he would DJ a show for homeless people. There was a pastor there. His name was Neil. He had taken a park and turned it into a garden, and then every other weekend he would have churches come in and bring food, and then Drew and I would come in and bring in entertainment, have different artists come in, and that's actually where I met Jamie. Jamie was one of our Drew's friends, and she was a rapper at the time.
Yep. So he invited me out, and yes, I did a few songs out there, but we also worked the garden. Talked with the people out there. It was an amazing experience.
Right. It was an eye-opening experience too. I mean, I never at the time realized how many homeless people were actually in Fort Worth.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was very eye-awakening or eye-opening. Like, just driving down there. I mean, it's just they're everywhere.
Right.
So, and I was telling you earlier, I ended up going back and taking my scissors and was just like cutting hair out there just for a little bit because I saw that need when I was there.
Right.
And I'm like, they want to look presentable sometimes.
right.
You know? So I just, that's what I went and did. Yeah, it was, I wanted to go back a little bit more, but it was just a little kind of far from me.
Yeah.
Fort Worth is so far.
It is
Why
far.
do you have to be so far?
From there, so once Jamie and I met, I had a show called Spin 316,
Yes.
which was on an internet radio station before YouTube was out. Like everybody
Before
was doing.
everything. Before
Yeah.
podcasts were popular.
Yeah, we actually had like to go on the internet. They had internet radio.
Yep.
So we would actually record at your house.
Yep. Yeah, we had a little home studio back in the day, and
Right.
he would come through, and we had the whole setup.
Yeah, we bring different bands from the Dallas Fort Worth area come in there, and she had a closet that was converted into a little sound room.
Yes.
With the mic in it.
Oh, many tracks were laid there.
Right. So yeah, I remember bringing some. I'm trying to remember one of the groups. We had a group that had like these three. There was pretty big guys, and we shoved them into that little closet.
Yes. Hey, we made them fit.
Right. But
we were like, just suck it in, get in there.
So, but that was
shut the door.
That show was such a lot of fun to do too. So, and it actually aired in L.A. It was Heads Up Radio FM.
Heads Up Radio
Heads
FM.
Up FM. Yeah.
They're still. Is it Heads Up FM?
Yeah, Heads Up FM.
Okay, let's fix that. HeadsUpFM.com. And they're still on the air. As I went and checked them out, and they're still doing their thing.
There? Yeah. It was DJ 13.
Yep.
Was the guy that was producing the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we had a blast doing that. And then from there, you started getting into photography and.
So from there, yes. So we had our season of doing the show and things like that. And then we ended up moving to Utah, out of all places.
Right.
So it was so pretty there that I really just wanted my mom to see how pretty it was with pictures. And I was like, she loves all those fall colors, but doesn't really get that in Texas.
Right.
So what I was seeing was just so amazing that I went and bought my first little decent camera. It was a Canon Rebel.
Okay.
It's a good camera, and that's where I started just taking pictures, and it just like I was just natural at the whole composition and the artistry behind it.
Yeah.
So just at that point was landscapes, and then I was making jewelry, so I would take pictures of the jewelry I'd make. So I was already doing product shooting for a business.
That's cool. Yeah.
So yeah.
And then from there, you started doing some car shows. So
and then fast forward a lot. I was still shooting. Came back to Texas because just missed my peoples. So came back home, and it went from landscape photography to more people, because Texas just doesn't have the scenery that I was amazed by anyway.
Right.
So it turned into people, models, the whole I was getting visions and things like that I'd have to create. So it would just be more than just a model. Like it would be like finding the location.
Right.
And I got into the cars, so I was shooting cars because I've always been a classic car lover.
Right.
My first car was a '66 Mustang.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was my first car. So, it's just in me, like, to love and appreciate those amazing machines. So,
right. So
yeah.
So did you start doing car shows as well, or is it just...
Yes. Yeah, so like I said, it started with taking pictures of the cars, and then I started to realize, growing up in Dallas in the 90s, I was in that scene. I was in the whole lowrider scene. We would go cruising. We would be, posted up at the park, and there would just be lowriders as far as I could see. Right. So I already knew all these people. So, and actually Drew was the one that had the idea. He was like, "Why don't you just throw a car show?" And like, yeah, and so I did.
Yeah, I think I read that in the bio that you sent me. Yeah.
He suggested it, and I was like, I'm gonna go for it. And since then, since 2019, I've been doing car shows.
Okay.
It started out twice a year, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
Took a year off from events. I think the whole world took a year off.
Right.
And then 21, I decided to go ahead and have a show again.
Right.
And that was my first one, back. So things are still a little weird out there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the
yeah.
good thing is that Texas is starting to finally open up and get back to some normalcy, where we could get back together and do some of the things that we were doing prior to the whole COVID thing.
Right. It's a
So
big deal.
that's good.
I'm ready.
um, so speaking of the car show, you had a pretty big concert last year.
I did. Yes, it was my first concert. We had Bone Thugs and Harmony come out. I just can't, like, even saying that sounds insane to me. But yeah, so that happened.
So how did that come about? What was the it was a Christmas?
Yes. So usually I have my events or my car shows in August, and then it was just that time, and we were gonna have the car show, and then we wanted to have a concert as well.
Right.
So the only issue we were having was finding a venue where we could do both.
Right.
So it seems like the forces of nature continue to split the car show up from the concert, and we just kind of had to roll with it that way.
Right.
So through some trial and error and crisis, we had a venue switch that was beyond our control at the last minute.
Right.
We actually had to postpone the show that was supposed to be in July. We postponed it to December.
Right.
So.
Well, it kind of worked out because being December, it became like a Christmas.
It was yeah. So usually the car shows I like to do are like a pin-up Christmas theme, rockabilly.
Right.
And but yeah, it was a Christmas, Christmas with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like doesn't get much better than that.
What made you go get Bone Thugs and Harmony?
Okay,
yeah.
So here's what the deal on that. So, longtime fan, supporter, and big visionary.
Right.
Like when I excuse me, I'm getting over something. But when I dream big.
Right.
And so my partner, Dre, he's actually related to Flesh and Lazy Bone.
Oh, really?
They're two brothers.
Okay.
So he's related. However, do you ever have those cousins that you don't really know who they are and what their kids' names are? And
right.
So there was like, yes, they're by blood related, but there was yet to be a relationship really established.
Right.
So he was more friends with their parents. Their parents would leave the kids at home on holiday and come party with the grown folks.
Right.
Well, Dre was with the grown folks.
Okay.
So he didn't get to party and have fun with his cousins, you know. So that was unfortunate, but that's just the way it happened. So we booked them, but we had to go through their manager just like everybody else.
Right.
It was no like family discount or
favors or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a legitimate show, and that's how it went down.
Right. So we got some clips and pictures we're going to show on the show.
Fantastic.
People get to see it. But
yes.
It looked like you guys had a blast. I mean, it looked like everything went really well. And
oh yeah, it was a great show. It was a great turnout. We learned so much that whole day, and we are looking forward to some more. Just everything right now is kind of in the creation stage for this year.
Right.
We're in the creative process part of it, so details will come out soon.
Right.
But look for, the end of July, early August, and also December is when we do things. And I gave him my social media, so you can just follow Stylz for Miles.
Yes.
Everything Stylz for Miles.
Cool. And that's kind of something I'd like to talk about too, is trying to come up with that whole thing. I mean, you had several things come up that
Yeah.
And this is one of the things we talk about all the time in our show, is being able to adapt to change, to see your vision through. Because like you said, you're a visionary.
Right.
This is something that you had, that you were focused on. You really wanted to get it done. And even with everything that was being thrown at you, you still were able to get through it. So tell me, whenever you get stuff like that thrown at you, how do you deal with that? How do you try to overcome some of that stuff?
Well, it was great during that time. Dre and I would just communicate together and just be like, all right, it's like every day we'd wake up and there was some other random issue to conquer.
Right.
But I always had that mindset, like, we can get through it.
Right.
You know, so but you have all these other people coming at you. It's very interesting because, you know, we are new to the entertainment part of, you know, car shows. Yes, I've been doing that, but never had a concert before. So, but things would pop up and you have people like, hey, did you see this? Did you hear this? And they're in my inbox, they're texting me, they're calling my phone, and it's like, I don't have to react to everybody else's negativity. And it's just like, you know what? I had people question if we were really having the real Bones Thugs and Harmony come out.
Right.
I had people defame me on social media.
Wow.
And these are people I had agreements with.
Right.
And just through chain of command, their higher ups didn't inform them that our show was happening at a particular venue. Right. And this guy that worked at the venue didn't know. Right. And blasted my show, calling it fake, and it was, and every day it was something weird like that, and I'm just like, first off, if you see something like that and you're an employee, you go to your manager first before you just blast somebody out.
Yeah, like, or just go to the person who's putting on the event. Just,
yes.
I mean, you would think that they would just come to you personally.
And he
be
went
like, hey,
after the fact. Yeah. He came to me after he'd already called me out, and I was at that point. I'm just like, you need to talk to your manager. And I kept referring him back to his manager. Right. And then I'm on the phone with the manager, going, "Have you seen what this employee of yours is doing?" Yeah. I never got an apology. Yeah. You know, and then we ended up having to switch venues because once they figured out that we had Bone Thugs and Harmony, the prior agreement we had and deposit we put down didn't matter anymore. Oh, wow. So that's the kind of things that these people in this industry do to you. Yeah. And so it costed me an entire show. Yeah. So I had to postpone it because when they threw that at me, it was only like we had a month left. Oh, wow. So I walked away. They thought I was just going to fork over the change and the funds, and I'm just like, first off it's principle. Right. And then I was like, no, I walked away. Well,
the good thing is that you persevered with it. You stuck with it. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that, you know, as much as everybody was throwing things at you, you still got the show done.
Still did.
And I think that the timing of the show was even better than if it would have been in July.
I agree. I agree. Everything, you know, and I kept saying that everything's happening for a reason. Like, when everything seemed like we didn't have a venue, so here we are again looking for venues, you know, and so we're going through that whole process all over again. We had just done it. Right, right. So then it's like, retract, we had to tell the world, you know, that that show's canceled, new venue. And I don't think I ever used the word cancel. I just said postpone, but in actuality it was canceled. Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, finding a new venue and then struggling with somewhere that has a stage and a big enough parking lot for the cars. And we thought we had that figured out several times, but forces of nature continued to separate the car show and the concert. Right. So the next venue we found, we thought everything was all good. They had a big parking lot. You know, everything's wonderful. Yes, we put the deposit down. We're having the car show and the concert at the same spot. Right. And then later, again, after the deposit's down and everything like this, we find out they don't even own the parking lot. Oh, wow. And we had to get some kind of approval, and then the actual owner of the property turned us down, and then at that point we were already marketing. We were having a car show concert. So again, we had to change the location of the car show. Oh, wow. We kept the concert there. Yeah. But then it kind of split, and they were about 15 minutes apart. So when the car show was over, everybody packed up and came to the concert. Right. So that's just some of the daily struggles that we were going through. And then, so note to everybody is make sure you find out if the people own the property. Right. You know, that you're having the show at.
And you know, even with that, people don't realize that when you put on a concert, especially something as big as what you're putting on, you know, it's not always straightforward. And a lot of the times, like my experience is, I'm always nervous that the artists are actually going to show up, you know.
Well, then you have that too. Yeah. So going with that, on that note,
Right.
so we had an issue come up with another, okay, it was another event going on our same day and time
Uh-huh.
with Bone in New York, the same date.
Oh. So they were,
So
there was conflict in scheduling for them?
it ended up being that, but
Right.
we couldn't get a hold of anybody from them, and we're seeing this going on, and we hadn't heard from them in a while.
Right.
So, you know, their management, I know they're busy people, but it's like,
Yeah.
you know, this is the honest to God truth. Once you pay that money, people don't really care about you. And this happened every step of the way. Every time we gave a deposit for the venue and then even for the talent. It's just like, okay, we got our money. We'll see you December 12th.
Right.
And they don't want to hear shit. I'm sorry, excuse me. They don't want to hear anything from you.
Right.
And that's where the frustration that I had, because we had a legitimate concern that there's this other show going on the same date.
Right.
People are questioning our show. They already think don't even have the real Bones and Thugs and Harmony, and then they see a different date and time that they're supposed to be in New York. How am I supposed to sell tickets?
Right. Wow.
That was my biggest issue.
Right.
I didn't get a drop from them until a couple days before the show.
Oh, wow.
So, you know,
Yeah.
it made it really hard to sell tickets.
Yeah.
So, you know, and this is just things that, you know, you deal with between management and artists.
Right.
And, you know, artists don't feel like doing it. Management don't really care. They already got their deposit.
Yeah.
You know, it's in the contract, but what does that matter?
Yeah.
You know, we're family.
Yeah.
We're small time. Are we really going to, you know, be able to sue them? That kind of, all that's going through my mind when I see that other show.
Wow.
And then finally we got a hold of them, and I'm like, I at least need to see some kind of mention about our show on your social media. I think they mentioned it on their Facebook page.
Yeah. So, when they finally, you know, the event finally happened, I mean, everything seemed to turn out really,
Yeah.
really well.
So
I mean,
we still made magic happen. We promoted
Right.
our little hearts out. We were on K104. You know, we did several podcasts,
Right.
interviews, anything, you know, that we could do. This just also hitting the streets of Dallas and passing out physical flyers
Right.
to people saying, hey, this is my show, come on out. We
Right.
did a lot of that.
So, and I think another positive that comes from this too, you know, first thing is when people run into adversity, you know, the first sign of adversity, people are just ready to bail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have a vision and you have, you know, something that you feel like maybe God gave you, or something that that you want to see fulfilled, you know, it's important that you learn to overcome that adversity.
Right.
You have to overcome the adversity, and you cannot let the adversity sway you from trying to do, you know, to do what you're.
Oh, every step of the way that
Right.
that
And you're
tried
going
to
to face that
happen.
no matter what.
Yeah.
So, what I take away from it is that you are able to overcome the adversity. You still put on a great show. Not only did you put on a great show, you put on a great show and had the car show. You know what I mean? So with
We
everything
did
going
that.
through,
Right.
Right.
And then you're right, and I have to sit back and go, wow, we did that.
Right.
You know, so it's a blessing, it really is, and the fact that I learned so much, what to do, what not to do, you know, how to not let people take advantage of you like that,
Right.
and things like that.
And that was my second point, was going to be that now, you know, you got that out of the way. You know, when you do this again, because your car show and your Christmas, well, the Christmas program that you do, now after getting that out of the way, when you go to do it again, you know,
People should be ready for it.
yeah, well, but now you know too what to expect.
True.
And then you know, hey, these are things that I have to nail down to make sure that these things are in place. That we have a great contact number for, you know, who our bands are. We
Right.
gotta have somebody directly that
Right.
we, you know, it's a learning process. You know?
Yep.
Um,
Or maybe negotiate a quarter down, because I really do feel once they get that half, they get real comfortable.
right.
And then they definitely throw it in your face like, well, are you sure you want to have this concert? How are ticket sales going?
Right.
They put that doubt in you, because you know what? They keep your deposit.
Right.
you lose. No, we
Yeah.
had that. We had the show. We never stopped.
Right.
We never gave into any of that doubt, confusion, any of it.
And then now going forward, now you know all the things that you need to, or I don't say all, because there's always gonna be something. That's gonna
There
come.
will be.
There'll always be something from left field that's gonna come and hit you. But at least you have some kind of a foundation that you understand. Hey, if we do this again, these are the things that we need to make sure that we have in place.
Yes.
So, with that, like I said, when you face adversity, take it as learning moments. Take it as time to not run from something, but face it head on. And then when you do it again, you know how to handle it this better the second time. So
This is true. Yeah. I feel like that's 100% accurate in
Right.
what I took away from it,
So now the concert's over. Everything. What are you thinking about? Are you planning on doing another one for?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're just kind of in the planning and stages right now. We're definitely talking to some artists and things like that. And we're just seeing, we're checking dates. But
Right.
again, we always like to have it in like August and December
Right.
time frame. So I'm looking into Newtown Birdman,
Okay.
who is an amazing new artist out of Louisiana.
Oh,
He came and did the show with us as well. He opened up for Bone.
okay.
And the world just loves him. Like it's his ability to, rock the mic is
Right.
amazing.
Right.
And the people they dig it. They love him.
Right.
So we would love to have him back out. He's with 9 Zones Entertainment. So look out for Newtown Birdman. We'll probably have a couple other artists. I'd love to have a good female, vocalist or
Right.
maybe hip hop. We're just in the creation stages. So several meetings of the minds. I'll have a meeting tomorrow. Had a meeting last week.
Right.
So all this is happening as we speak.
Right.
But I would love to have a comedian as our host.
Okay.
His name is D. Ellis. He's on 94.5 in Dallas.
So.
So 94.5 is more like grown folk music for the
Right.
grown and sexy. So I like that station will play, things from the 90s and 2000. They don't just get stuck on current rap music.
Right.
And he's all about that too. He loves, classic hip hop and R&B. Plus he's really funny.
Right.
So he's just, I want to let him do his thing. So we've been talking to D. Ellis.
Cool.
That's DELLI $. Don't get that wrong because he will hurt you.
Right. Not an S.
Yes, not an S. No.
Okay, cool. So, so what are your plans from now? I mean, what?
So, a lot of time and energy goes into just planning that.
Right.
So that's gonna always be going on behind the scenes. I'm shooting a lot. I'm doing a lot of, right now is senior shoots, events. I'll do weddings.
Yeah.
I just did a whole real estate event.
Okay.
So if you guys need photography or videography in Dallas, just hit me up because that's what I do, and I do it for a couple of businesses as well.
Right.
So, and I think I really, really like that. I really like helping a business brand themselves.
Right.
And
So just more marketing and advertising
and content creating for businesses.
Right.
Because they need it. And these small businesses is my focus because they don't have anybody running their social media, and I do that for PK Floors.
Mm-hmm.
I run their social media, and so they don't have to worry about that. They know Jamie Stylz is going to go in there every week, take the pictures of finished jogs. They do remodeling.
Right.
Go in there with my camera and both my cameras and all my lights, and just go in there and handle business. And this way, every week they have fresh content for their business and their website.
Right. Hey, I was just thinking, you post a lot on social media. you know, your videos and stuff. You ever thought about doing a YouTube show or?
You know, I have just a channel that I put stuff on, but it's
Right.
not like I do a consistent show.
Right, right.
But yes, you know, I was telling you, I just purchased this whole kit to do podcasts, so we'll do the podcast, but I'll probably record it on video too and put it up on YouTube.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, Jamie Stylz has a YouTube channel with lots of fun random videos.
Right. So
Currently.
you got a lot of, you know, of workout videos that you're doing.
Yes. I'm very passionate about fitness, y'all.
Right.
I really am. And it's because I'm bipolar, and it really, really 100% helps with that.
Right.
So every doctor I've ever been to is just like fitness, and every person that I know that maybe struggles with anxiety or bipolar, they're like, yes, with the fitness. It really, really helps.
And you know, with my audience who struggle with anxiety and bipolar or depression, what are some of the things that you suggest that might help them?
So over the years, I have learned, the first thing I learned was yoga. And so a girlfriend, you know, she teaches, and her name's Kendra. And so she teaches, she was like, hey, get over here. I have yoga class. It's free. I was like, did you say free? So I ran over there real quick. And my first yoga class, y'all, was one of those hot yoga. It was like the hardest class you could take was my beginner class. I was so mad at her.
There's no way I could do any kind of yoga.
And I was just sweating. I couldn't even do a pose, and I was falling down. But I didn't care. I mean, because nobody there cared. Everybody knows you got to start somewhere. And I think we get in our heads about, oh, they're looking and laughing at me. Who cares? Laugh at yourself. It's fine. We're all going to fall. Yoga's hard. So I did that, and I just absolutely loved it. But what I'm trying to get at is it helped me connect with my breath, because everything comes from the breath. Without breath, there is no life. So the big inhales and the big exhales, and you do that about 10 times. So say you're feeling a little anxious. Just go in the car real quick, or stand in the middle of the grocery store, wherever you're feeling anxious, and just stop. Take 10 deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. I promise you'll feel better instantly. So that's one tip. Number 2, we're going to write a list. Number 2 is gratitude. So, like, you know, with the bipolar, sometimes first thing in the morning, I can wake up and the first thought is just a negative one. So I'm just like, okay, what are you thankful for, Jamie? You know, my family, my friends, you know, life, the morning that I woke up, you know, all this stuff. And even if it's like, what puts a smile on your face when you know, are saying thanks? You have to, like, okay, is it your cat? You know, is it just something corny? Is it that donut sitting on the counter you're about to eat? You know? These things, it's the simple things. Like, and I find that when I start, say I go through a list of, you know, 10 simple things, and I always find that afterwards I feel better. So that, and then also, what are you watching? This is 3. So I like to watch or listen to podcasts, positive YouTube channels. I like education, so I'll turn it on and I'll listen to some, like, yoga master, or, you know, this guy I watch, Jay Shetty. He used to be a monk. And so I love, and he's very positive, and, you know, I like that type of energy and that type of learning. So tons of those videos. But yeah, so it matters also what you're watching. So pay attention to that.
I'm kind of the same way. Like, you know, every time I think about leadership, I like to watch some Simon Sinek videos, because he's got a lot of information of how to train leaders on, you know, handling companies and employees today. So a lot of his insights are, like, really good. And so that motivates me too, as a leader, to, you know, to go in and be more conscious whenever, you know, I'm dealing with people. And
this is true. And then it also, stuff like that, you know, it just helps me connect to you guys better. I'm just the kind of person that whatever I'm doing, if I could teach you something, that's so rewarding to me. Like, it's important to me.
Right.
So, you know, if one person from this show just learns, okay, I'm anxious, I have depression, let me try some yoga, let me try to meditate. We didn't talk about that either, but meditation. Right. You know, if y'all try that, oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
Yeah. And so that's kind of like your go-to is like doing the fitness videos and like just working out. And
I do that, you guys. I do it for y'all. I do it for me too.
Right.
Because if I think, okay, I you know what, I'm doing it for them.
Right.
It motivates me in return. Right. So it's kind of like a two-way street. So there are days where I don't feel like it, but I'm like, nope. If you don't do it, then somebody that morning could really be needing you to be up and just say, hey, did you move your body today?
Right.
You know, did you try meditating? 5 minutes. You got this. You know, stuff like that.
You know, one of the things that we try to do is we want to be able to inspire our audience and show them that, you know, we are human. You know, we have pitfalls, we have
struggles, all of it.
The adversity, you know, things that we have to deal with. We're human, so we have to deal with the same things. And like one of the things that encourages me to keep going is that I like to be able to use that to inspire and encourage other people.
See, so it's similar. It really is. Right. And I think when I hear people like you and like myself that like to help others, but at the same time, you know, we're busy and we're business owners and things like that.
Right.
But it's like we still want to give our time somehow to help the world.
Right.
You know.
And it's like, you know, I'm still focused on Access doing the camera. Mm-hmm. We're, you know, extremely close. We've already come through our demo phase. We're actually in our manufacturing phase.
And this is amazing. And the process that he's had to go through, you know, it's been a journey.
Yeah, so almost 6 years. You know, we took an ideal and we were able to take the ideal and actually make it into a reality with very little money. And
that's amazing.
But in the middle of that, you know, part of the reason I decided to do the show is that you know, every time I look at the social media, I just see all this just negativity and division and, you know,
hate, so much hate.
Yeah, it's just, you know, and to me, that's disappointing.
It's very disappointing.
Because I think, you know, for, as just a human race, you know, we have a lot more in common than we have that divides us. And, you know,
why
just
focus on that stuff? Why focus on that? Why not focus on the being, the human, just like you breathe air, just like I breathe air. Like, it's just, you know, it's ridiculous, some of this other stuff that people get caught up on.
You know, and it's you know, they got politics, you got race, you got vax unvax, you got, you know, mask unmask. I mean, there's so many things.
We could have a show for the rest of our lives.
Of all the ways they try to divide, you know, everybody. And like for me, you know, just that human connection and getting to know one another, getting off the phone and, you know, literally having conversations and getting to hear other people's stories, that's inspiring to me. And that's kind of what guided me to do this show. Is you know, I've been fortunate, you know, like we talked about, you know, we go back, you know, 20-some years. So we go back quite a while, but you know, before the whole social media thing and you know, and
we were doing this like, you know, before all this was as easily accessible, or before it was even around. Let's be real. So
in through that time, you know, I go back and I look at all the people I've met. You know, all the you know, I've sat down with senators, I've sat down with mayors, you know, chief of police. I've sat down with, you know, just you know, just being at work, sitting down. One of the guys that I worked with, I found out used to play in the minor leagues for the Dallas Mavericks.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we're at work.
Yeah, you're just like, you what?
Yeah, he's the, you know, we did the whole icebreaker thing, and he was He's like, yeah, I used to play a little basketball. The guy's 7 foot tall, so I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, a
just
little
a
basketball.
little basketball.
So I go back on YouTube and I look, and I found this highlight reel
Ha
of him
ha.
playing with the Texas Legends.
Yeah.
And I go back to him like, oh, I used to play a little basketball.
Yeah, you know, I used to throw the ball around.
So, and then, you know, he and I became friends, and he became a big part of Driven, the other part of Access Drive. People don't realize that I have 2 parts of Access Drive.
Okay.
So we have Access Drive that deals with the cameras and works with the police, and we have a program which is an outreach program called Driven, which we work with the community.
Okay.
Because the whole issue with everything going on with the police,
Yeah.
there's 2 sides of that coin, and you're not going to resolve it by just resolving, you know, just dealing with one side. So we would go into Pleasant Grove, and we brought a leadership class in there, and
Oh, that's my old hood, y'all.
yeah, so
Wow.
we went to what was the Asante Apartments.
Okay.
Um,
What street is that on?
Trying to remember the name of the streets.
Bruton, St. Augustine.
I can't
That's all
remember.
good.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out later. I
I'm
don't know
trying to
why.
remember,
'Cause I'm
too.
like, if that's my neighborhood,
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah, so it was the Asante Apartments. We'd go out there, you know, we'd bring in pizza and stuff with the kids, and
Okay.
we'd teach a leadership training class, and then we'd get out and play kickball or something like
Oh,
that.
that's fantastic.
And go have a lot of fun with the kids. But
Aw, love it.
yeah, but you know, all the people I've gotten to meet, you know, throughout all my years of doing this, it's incredible, the people I get to, you know, to sit down with. And that's kind of why I brought you on, and you know, some of the other guests that you guys are going to meet, because, you know, it's just the stories of their journey is so amazing, you know.
This is true. We all have an interesting story to
Right.
tell.
And I love it. I like to just be able to sit down and just talk about it, you know, and just you know, knowing what other people have gone through, to be able to have them come on the show and share that with, you know, with our audience. You know, I think that, you know, it's a way for us to inspire and to just motivate people, and you know, give them something different than what social media is giving them right now. So.
That's the thing, and I'm very intentional with that.
Right.
And, you know, I purposely don't like to say a whole lot of negative stuff. Things happen in life where you kind of feel that way sometimes. And maybe I slip up, you know, too. But I intentionally try to keep it positive.
Right.
You know, and that's hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and but I feel like you, where I just hurt for all the sadness and the hate and everything. I just like so I'm like you. I just want to just kill them with kindness and put out the good stuff and positive stuff to maybe help that person that's going through it.
Right. And so, yeah, I wanted to thank you for coming on the show, because, you know, I know your story. I know that a lot of things that you bring, you know, to light is, you know, is really inspiring. It's, you know, it's motivational. And I think that it's important for my audience to be able to hear some of that too. So it's a way to it's a way to help them, you know, and that's the whole point of the show.
Yes. So stay in touch with me, guys. I'm all over social media. It's Jamie Stylz, JAMIE STYLZ, like zebra.
Right.
And you'll find, if you want my gym shenanigans is what I call it, because I always start off really good,
right?
And I'm like, okay, we're working out, and I love music, so I'm gonna play music. You might see me dance and, you know, get crazy, but at the end of it, you know, I do my little workout, and then I like to come on with just like some random character. I like to be in character sometimes, and I'll do a little filter, and I have the Chola girl one that I like to do. I have a drag queen one that I like to do a lot, and at the end of my workout videos, people are gonna expect the unexpected, because you never know what character you're gonna get. Right. And that character will just talk about how hard her workout was or whatever. Right. Anyways, it cracks me up. I hope y'all laugh. Cool. I hope somebody gets me.
Cool. So, what are your plans from here? What do you want to do from here?
Okay, so from here, definitely, you know, photography is my main gig. So I would definitely want to keep focusing on photography for businesses. Okay. Family portraits. So if you guys if you haven't taken family pictures in 10 years or whatever, I got a problem with that. You need to call me ASAP. But you should, because it's just, and you should print them and put them on, because it's inspiring to look at your wall and go, you know what? Look at my wonderful family. That was 5 years ago.
Right.
Just it brings back memories, and it just keeps you, every time you walk by that photo, you're gonna smile.
Right.
Just things like that, and I think it's very important. And this is why I keep my prices really affordable.
Right.
And it's usually pretty easy because I split the payment. I require a security deposit. It's non-refundable, so you guys can get on my calendar, and then the rest is due at the time of the shoot.
Right.
So that makes it easier for people to break it up into payment plan,
Right,
basically.
right.
But I'm open to all budgets. I just hit me up. Just communicate what's going on. I have a big heart, and I want to help it any way that I can. And I want you guys to have photos of your family, because
Right.
I believe it's important.
Cool. So now we're going to put a list of all the social medias.
Thank you.
You gave me a lot.
27,000.
Yeah. So we're gonna post all of the social medias. But what's the best? Tell me the best three.
Yes. So
the best three ways for them to get a hold of you.
We'll just keep it easy. So Instagram. I have an Instagram for Jamie Stylz Photography.
Cool.
There's an Instagram for Jamie Stylz, just me and my fitness stuff. And then there's a Stylz for Miles Instagram, and that's STYLZ, the number 4, MYLZ. Totally crazy spelling, but he will post it there for you guys. And you can find those same ones on Facebook,
right.
TikTok. So it's the same spelling, Jamie Stylz Photography, Jamie Stylz, and then Stylz for Miles.
Cool.
Those are my big 3 things that I keep up with annually.
Cool. And they will all be listed in the links below, so in the comment field. So
great.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Oh, I get a hug.
So
that's awesome.
Just keep doing what you're doing, and keep inspiring people.
Let's do it.
Cool.
I'm with it.
All right. So until next time, remember, you are uniquely designed with a purpose, and always keep moving forward.